Want to learn how to add and configure elements for your dashboard in ArcGIS Online? Then stay tuned to find out. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel for another tutorial. Before you continue to watch, please take a moment to hit subscribe below if you haven't already. So today we will be creating our dashboard in ArcGIS Online from scratch. In my last tutorial, we concluded our ArcGIS Pro series with simple analysis in ArcGIS Pro. So you can check that out at the top of this video right now. So guys, I'm about to get into a lot of talking about a few important things, so I'm just letting you know early. So if you want to skip ahead to get started with your dashboard, like this one, then I understand completely. So today we will be creating our dashboard from scratch in ArcGIS Online. I have a previous tutorial on creating your dashboard in the desktop application of Operations Dashboard, so I'll link that up top here now if you want to see that. The latest version of Operations Dashboard was released in January 2018 with some notable differences, and before we get started, I have to mention a few of these differences. The biggest change is that it's no longer a desktop application, but rather it's available within ArcGIS Online. We don't use the term dashboard widgets anymore, but rather we create dashboard elements. I have to say that creating your dashboard here is in most cases way different than creating it in the desktop application. We will talk about those differences as we go along in the tutorial. A few things to consider before we get started. You will need to have your web map already created with feature services published or available in ArcGIS Online, and these feature layers must have the attributes that you want your dashboard to answer. So in my dashboard, I will have 4 layers in my ArcGIS Online web map that will feed information into it. I have 3 features that I published from ArcGIS Pro and a location tracking feature that I created in ArcGIS Online from feature templates that collects where my workforce has been collecting data. From my dashboard, I want to answer the following. Where are my field workforce collecting data right now? How much roads have we maintained since January 1, 2015 in kilometers? How many utility poles have we maintained in relation to their status? How many utility poles need repairing? How is the utility pole material distributed in percentage? And how many commercial and residential buildings are there? With these questions in mind, we get started. So now I will go straight to ArcGIS Online and proceed to the Operations Dashboard app from the list of available applications in ArcGIS Online. We will create a new dashboard and give it a title, tags, and a summary. Once created, you're asked to add visual elements, not widgets guys, to populate your dashboard. First, we will add our web map, which will contain the feature layers that will feed the dashboard. We get a list of available elements, select the map element, we search for and find our web map and configure the settings and add descriptive information. One difference right away is that we don't need to specify which layers will be data sources at this stage. I turn on my legend here. That way I don't need to add a legend widget or element. Next. I will add an element to show me my list of users who has logged into the Collector app, and I also want to know where they are. So we add the list element. I won't add any filters since I'm using the layer as a whole. I will configure how I want the widget to appear. So I add the attribute that I want displayed and any additional text. I also add a title and description. This is something else that's slightly different. That is configuring your elements. I want to configure my element actions. So I want to specify what my element can do once I click on a value inside that element. I want to be able to filter or search. I want it to flash in my map view, and I want to zoom to the value once I click on it inside the element. This is different as well. Whereas in the desktop version, you do everything in the widget setting, the configuration settings and actions are different here. It's important to note as well that not all elements can perform actions. Elements that can perform actions include at least the map and list elements. And side note on this term element, it takes some getting used to. I've said widget so many times already, guys. You have no idea. So now I want to add a gauge element. And this is where I begin to apply filters to my layers. One thing I want to determine is how much roads have been maintained since January 1, 2015 in kilometers. In the data section of the element configuration, I apply the filter to only show features collected after January 1, 2015. I want to show the total in kilometers, so I select the shape length attribute, which is in meters, and I apply a value conversion to show the value in kilometers instead of meters. This is one feature I definitely appreciate, because now instead of needing to have that attribute information already existing, you don't necessarily need it. You can just apply a conversion and it will be converted for you, which is great. I can change the appearance of the element from the default, but I won't. I will add a threshold indicator, which is 50% of the maximum value, 100 in this case. Of course, this max value can be changed, but once we hit that threshold value, then the color of the progress bar changes to an orange color in my case. time to add a pie chart to show the distribution of whole material in percentage. I won't be filtering my values. In fact, I want to make sure my values are grouped by unique value, and I need a total count of these records. Once you select your value, it automatically shows the percentage breakdown, and that's great. What's even better is that you can add a legend to your particular pie chart. You can also change the color of the slices either individually, or you can use predefined color schemes available here. Now I will rearrange some of my elements, and that's just the process of dragging and docking as we've become accustomed to with Esri products. I do wish the size of my pie didn't reduce this much though, but I suppose that's just a preference. Add a bar chart to show the status of my utility poles, so I will go ahead and add a serial chart element. I won't be filtering any data here, but I want to make sure that my values are grouped by their status, as it is important that we know how many poles have been maintained in relation to their status. There are many options presented when configuring this element, some of which didn't exist with the desktop version. For instance, I could tell it how I want my labels displayed, or if I only want to show values as integers only. They really stepped it up with this element, I have to say. want to add an indicator element to show me the wooden utility pole count in need of repair. This is the equivalent of the summary widget in the desktop version, but a little improved. So I'm going to add pretty much 2 steps in my single filter. I want to pull out the poles with the material being wooden and the status being in need of repair. I will add my text that I want to include in my element, but nothing else. I will add an element each for my commercial and residential building count. So again, I would need filters. And this is where I say this element is an improvement on the summary widget, in that I can add an icon to represent my value in the element. I could also duplicate my commercial element, which is another great feature, and then edit the duplication as my residential element, but it takes pretty much the same effort to create it from scratch, so I just did that. And I, of course, included icons for both my commercial and residential building count. I love this icon thing, guys, I really do. Here I found and selected an icon that sort of looks like a commercial building, and of course I did the same for the residential building. decided last minute to add another indicator element to pretty much show what my gauge element shows. So after rearranging my elements to my liking, I changed the theme from light to dark. Now I'm ready to share the link to this dashboard. I have to say that I do like the fact that it's online, so however your web map is shared will determine how your dashboard is shared as well. If it is shared within a group or organization, then only members of that group or organization can see. I like it being online overall because now there isn't a need for viewers of the dashboard to have a desktop application to look at it. I was a little apprehensive at first, but the more I got used to it, the more I started to like it. It offers so much more, all without needing additional space on your hard drive. In upcoming tutorials, look out for more with ArcGIS Online, like customizing Storymap. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this tutorial with a friend or colleague who you believe would benefit from this information. Also, leave a comment down below to let me know how you like the tutorial so far, or if you have any other tutorials that you would like to see. Thanks again, and see you next time.